Hello everyone, so thanks for joining me back on my channel. If you don't know me, if you're new here, I'm Maria, this is my beautiful horse Bella, and we've been on a dressage journey. But Miss Bella has been on and off intermittently lame for a little while now, and I just can't put my finger on what is wrong. So today I am taking her for a drive up to a wonderful equine vet facility that we have not far from us, which I'm very grateful for. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we can find some answers. So at the moment, she's more consistently presenting with lameness in her off hind. We haven't been able to pinpoint really where it's coming from in the past, but I was booked in to do a dressage competition a couple of weeks ago, and I came out on the Saturday morning and she had swelling in her, in that fetlock, in that off hind fetlock, and she was definitely lame. She didn't want to put it on the ground. So obviously I scratched from my competition, and then I got onto the phone and booked her in for getting some scans done. So I'm hoping today we'll have some x-rays and maybe have some scans depending on what's needed. I'll be guided by the vet. I did ask when I rung and booked in for someone that likes a mystery so we can try and get to the bottom of it. But she's also been quite cranky. Even putting the bridle on, she's giving me definite no's that she's not, you know, this is previous to the lameness, because obviously I haven't worked her for the last couple of weeks, she's just been resting. But yeah, even tacking her up, the saddle she's been okay, but as soon as she sees that bridle, she's just like a dragon. So I just want her to be comfortable. I am a bit anxious about what the outcome's gonna be, but it'll be what it will be, and hopefully we'll have a plan to have her more comfortable and feeling better. And if it's worst case, then it's worst case. And I've got a paddock pony, but I'm hoping, I don't want to get upset, I'm hoping that that's not going to be the case. So anyhow, I'll see what I can film. I haven't asked them if I can film anything, but I will when I get there, and maybe get some little snippets. And I will fill you guys in, obviously, on what, hopefully, fingers crossed, we have an outcome. Hey, Belly. Where are we? You were right, sweetheart.
Because of you,
Where are we, my darling?
like I'm good. Because of you, I feel like I should. Because of you, I feel a little more. And that's all because of you. I finally know how to play my part. You made me see the light that's in the dark. Now I know that I don't own a broken heart, and that's all because of you. Maybe I'm not supposed to say it out loud, but lately I feel like there's nothing else on my mind. I've lived a life without you, and that wasn't enough for me. I've seen the world through my eyes. I'd rather share this scenery. I will give my heart forever if I'm giving it to you. I finally know how to play my part. You made me see the light that's in the dark. Now I know that I don't know without you, and there wasn't enough for me. I've seen the world through my eyes, I'd rather share this scenery. I will give my heart forever if I'm giving it to you. I've lived a life without you, and there wasn't enough for me. I've seen the world through my eyes, I'd rather share this scenery. I will give my heart forever if I'm giving it to you. Oh, maybe I'm not supposed to say it out loud. I'll give my heart forever to you.
So here we are, guys. We are literally just back home from the vet. I'm still processing. So the drive home from the vet probably took me, I don't know, just under an hour. I don't know really where to start. Okay. So you would have seen Mum was there. Mum managed to get a few little snippets, I think, but it was really hard to get too much footage. We were there for a really long time. So we got there at 12:30. Our appointment was at 12:30, and I think we were there hanging around with the vet for a good few hours. I think it was like, I don't know what the time is now, 4:21. So it would have been till about 3 o'clock. So it was a lot. There was a lot of things going on. So we initially started with obviously me explaining everything to her of what's been going on, and in context for you guys, there's been a lot of issues for a very long time, even before I was vlogging. I remember thinking back to, I always think of things as pre-COVID nowadays. So before 2020, we had some issues where, like, she didn't want to work, I'd tack her up and she didn't want to walk to the arena and things like that. She'd just put the brakes on. And I had a lameness workup done then, and the vet at the time couldn't find any sort of like lameness really. A few years went on and I was just doing low-level stuff with her. I don't think I was even having lessons with her then. So I wasn't really asking too much of her, and things seemed to improve and get better. We also did we had her ovaries scanned and put her on OvuMate or something like that, which is to stop them coming into season. Didn't really seem to make much of a difference. It probably stopped a little bit of the sassiness, and she was on that for quite a while. It was very expensive, and I didn't think that I was quite getting the results that I should have been getting, so we didn't do that, and I put her on a herbal supplement as well, which it was alleviating the sassiness and giving me the same thing for way less cost. We then had her scoped for ulcers, and she did have low-level ulcers, and so obviously we treated the ulcers, and then I've always had her on a supplements and follow-up sort of ongoing to keep that comfortable. She always has unlimited hay and feed, which is really tricky because she also has the other problem where she's always been overweight her whole life. So I've always suspected that she has EMS, like equine metabolic syndrome, where her insulin, she doesn't process her sugars very well, because this time of the year things start to get a little bit more agitating for her. I think because the sugar level in the grass starts to rise, and we get all the cape weed, which is really sweet, which we do spray for. So anyway, yeah, so there's lots of things. I've done a lot of research over the years into all of this stuff. And I'm very grateful that we have the technology to be able to do that. And also I've also worked in with the vets and what their thoughts are. So yeah, we did the hormones, we did the scope. As you know, I have chiropractor and body worker all the time, but I've always suspected there's something in her neck, because whenever Ellie comes, there's always tension, there's always in her neck. And when she's doing her work, her canter, she's always very tense and tight. When I bring her back to trot, I get head shaking. we've always had floating issues. It's gotten better, but she's still, like, even coming home from the vets today, obviously she had been sedated. We did wait, you know, a long time for her to come round, but she's kind of like, I'll stand on the ramp and just hang out here. Anyhow, let's get back to today. I'm waffling, and I think I'm waffling because I can't believe what the outcome is. So we did the trot up, and she was showing lameness in that off hind, but a 2 out of, what did she say? A 2 out of 5. So it was very low. She had an abscess in her hoof, which I didn't realise, and it had burst. You can, now that she's shown me, there is a little spot there right on her heel, so it was on her heel bulb. So that has burst and come out. So that's what would have caused the acute lameness back before my competition, which was last weekend, I think it was, and I had to pull out. So then we did a nerve block in the sort of above the fetlock in that pastern area, so that then blocked out that whole bottom section, so we could see if that was the issue. So we waited around for that to kick in, and then we went and did another trot up, and she was trotting on the straight, trotting really well, so that was showing, yep, that's looking better. And then when they turned her around at the end, she was still kind of dropping through that sort of hip there. So we thought maybe there was an issue higher up in the leg or in the stifle. So anyway, we brought her back down, and that's when we started doing some X-rays. So they X-rayed the whole fetlock. It did show up on the X-ray that there had been an abscess there. So they X-rayed her fetlock and her pastern area, and it did show that there was a rough section, I don't know all the big words, but on one part there, which is where all the suspensory all sort of joins in. So she suspects that there has been a suspensory injury, if you like, for want of a better word. And we could ultrasound that to investigate that a bit further. Her hocks looked great, no arthritis or anything. Her stifle looked fantastic, nothing there. So that was all good. So that was the issue in the hind end. And then I had booked in, when I booked in, I had specifically said I wanted her neck x-rayed. So she then went on to x-ray her neck, which she said she was just doing that to humour me. But her first image that she took, and she was having a look on the screen as she was doing them, she sort of went, oh, that's interesting. And I thought, here we go. And she then proceeded to x-ray the rest of the neck, and she took some different angles. And so I'm not sure which ones they are. I'm going to look in depth a bit more. Like I said, I've literally just come back, so my brain is exploding. But basically, this first image that we took up in this section, or she took up in this section here, there is an abnormality in the formation of the vertebrae there. So there's a little piece that's sitting up where it shouldn't, and it's not excessive, but it's there, this abnormality, and it could have happened when she was a foal, so through some sort of trauma or injury, although she's not so sure it's a trauma because there's no arthritis or anything like that. It could be a whole host of reasons why it's there, but basically it's there, so it is what it is. And that in turn, obviously, all of their spinal, all of their nerves and everything all run down through there. So that is possibly putting pressure on that and causing more of a neurological or a nerve pain. Yeah, so that is why we've possibly been having the floating issues. She has, coming out of the float at times, slipped on the ramp. Admittedly, it's been rainy days, so I always make sure now that the ramp is dry. That's why I do float them with sawdust, so it kind of soaks if there is any dampness. And if I know it's raining, I'm going to put the ramp up. But she's been down a couple of times, and she said, yeah, quite often that backing up, it's like they lose the perception of, they can see and they can function, but they not always in sync with their legs or with their body, if that makes sense. So also, I did it when she started talking to me about all of this. I did say sometimes when I'm riding, I feel like I need to be in charge of the direction. So in my arena, I've got like a stock fence along the side, and I feel like sometimes if I'm not steering, she could very well run into that. There's little moments, and of course, once you know something, you then look back on times where you go, oh, okay, that would explain that. Yeah, so a whole host of things. So yeah, the lameness, the acute lameness was definitely a hoof abscess, which is now burst and it's done its thing. But the intermittent kind of lameness is possibly the suspensory problem. But our main number one problem, which she didn't think was going to be there and I insisted on we x-ray, is the neck. And I've always had a gut feeling that there's something not quite right in her neck. So the upshot is, she said, go home and think about everything. There's no use ultrasounding and checking that suspensory and going through rehab and everything if I'm going to not be riding her anymore. Because she said, you know, she has seen necks and she's seen worse necks than Bella's, and people have gone on to ride those horses, even race horses, and even people jumping. But the risk is at some point she could start to trip or stumble or fall, or, you know, you've got to think about your own safety. And I don't want her to be in pain. And part of the reason why I've spent all this money and done all this investigation is because she's been trying to tell me that something's not right. No, I didn't want to cry, sorry guys. And I've been trying to listen and trying to do right by her, because the only way they've got to tell us is through their actions and through their behaviour. And I really pride myself on, you know, looking for the signs and honouring them as a being, as a, you know, being in our life. So I'm not sure. I haven't even spoken to Andrew yet. I haven't really spoken to anyone. Mum was there with me. And I was actually quite good up there, and I kind of had a feeling that this was going to be the outcome. I don't know why, I just had it in my gut that this is what I was going to hear. It's not what I wanted to hear, but I felt like this is what I was going to hear. So whether, you know, I just catch her on a good day and we have an amble around the paddock, she definitely won't be returning to the dressage ring. I won't expect her to do that level of work. I just don't think she's capable. She's dying to go out. I'm going to actually pop her back out in the paddock, and I'll talk to you guys again a bit later, and I'll finish this off at another time, but let's just get her back out in the paddock. I think she's had a big day. So I've had quite a few days now this is a few days later, to process everything and get my brain sorted. And I actually feel quite, I don't know if joyful is the word, but I feel happy. I feel happy for Bella. So it's not her ambition. Oh, Colm. You're so cheeky. It's not her want or desire or ambition to trot down that centre line. That's all on me. And if that can't happen anymore, then I'm okay with that, because I've listened to her. I've heard what she's been trying to tell me. And yeah, she can now live her best life. I'm going to move that because he is trying to knock it over. She can now live her best life out in the paddock. No pain, well, hopefully. I haven't actually spoken to the vet again. I will give her a call. And but on the day, she was telling me that, you know, she, in all intents and purposes, in the paddock, she should be comfortable. I have actually wrapped her foot back up because the abscess was still giving her a bit of grief. So we thought that it had popped and drained, but I don't think it has fully drained. So she's still got a poultice on that. And the suspensory ligament, I think we are just going to obviously rest because she's not being ridden, and that should come good, but I will keep an eye on that to see how that goes going forward. Don't you dare. You're jealous of the tripod. Yeah, so anyway, I will wrap this up here because I don't know how long this vlog's going to be, how much I've included already. So yeah, I'm just feeling really grateful. I'm so grateful that Colm. I'm so grateful that I listened to my intuition and to my gut, and yeah, I insisted on that neck x-ray because now I feel like I've listened to her. She's been heard. And I know it sounds quirky, but I think she understands that. He is literally biting my boot. I don't know if you can see that. He's the cheekiest pony ever. So anyhow, in the future, I think it's going to be maybe Colm heading down the centre line and having some lessons. So I'm in the process of getting him fit. So we're just doing little and often to build up his fitness. And yeah, we'll be taking him out. And I also have got some other ideas in my goals and my plans now. But that's really, really early days. So I will keep you all posted and updated with all of that. So please make sure you've subscribed. Don't bite me. Subscribe to my channel if you don't already. Hit the little like and yeah, leave me a comment please. I love getting all the comments. So until I see you next time, bye for now.